So in the last session, we have discussed about the page layouts and their customizations. How to customize the page layout and how to customize the fields and how to make a field required. All these options we have discussed. Now we will see the concept of field dependency. So what exactly the field dependency? What is the use? And how to make one field to be get dependent on another field. Now let's see. For example, assume that I have two fields. Okay, I have two fields. So this is one field which will be of type a pick list. Pick list means drop down. In other programming languages, it is called as drop down, but in Salesforce, this is called as pick list. So now assume that this is the country field where I'm populating some set of countries from which we have to select a country to which you are associated. Select the country name. Now, along with this country field, okay, along with this country field, I have one more field is also there. That is also of type pick list, which is a states pick list. Select the state name. Select the state name to which you are associated. In this country pick list field, all the country names has been populated. All the country names has been populated. In this states pick list field, all the state names has been populated. Okay, all the state names has been populated. So now in this case, my requirement is as soon as if I am selecting the country as from India, inside that country field, then the corresponding state values, okay, then the corresponding state values has to be get populated inside that state pick list. Whatever the various states that we have inside this India, all those state names has to be get populated inside this second pick list. For example, in future, if I'm changing this country from India to US, then automatically in that US, whatever the states are available, those state names has to be get populated inside the state name field. Nothing but what I'm going to do, I would like to make this particular, the state name field has to be get dependent on the country field. Okay, I want to make it as dependent on the country field. The state field should be get dependent on country field. So now in this case, which one is the parent field? Country is the parent field. Okay, country is the parent field. This is the country field is the parent field. And the state field is what? This is the child field. Okay, country is the parent and the state is the child. Now in this case, how can we map the dependency of one field on another? That is called as field dependency. Field dependency is used to make one field to be get dependent on in another field. In this case, we can able to make a pick list field can be dependent on in another pick list field. But in this case, you can raise a question. For example, along with these two fields, I'm having the city field also. I'm having the city field also. I'm having the city fields. Now, here I'm having some set of cities are available here. So now, inside the third pick list, it will be having some set of cities are available. So now, how we are going to be mapping this? So nothing but whenever I'm selecting some state as some Telangana, then in the Telangana, whatever the cities are available, those cities has to be get populated inside the city pick list field. Then how can we do this? For example, if I'm selecting that, here I'm having one more pick list that is area. If I'm selecting some location, nothing but the city as some Hyderabad, so in that Hyderabad, whatever the areas are available, all those areas has to be get populated over here. In this case, how can we do this? But whenever we are mapping the field dependency, always we can map the field dependency between the two fields at a time. Okay, at a time, we have to map the field dependency between the two fields. Like first of all, we have to map the field dependency between the country and the state. And then we can map the field dependency between the state and the city as a second dependency. And then we can map the dependency between the city and the, the areas. Okay, city and the areas. Like that here, at a time, we can able to map the field dependency between the two fields only, not multiple. Like that, what happened? This all these fields are available in the same object. So in order to map the field dependencies between these four fields, we have to create the three field dependencies. One field dependency to map the field dependency between this country and the state. Second field dependency is to map the association between state and city. Third one is for the city to the areas. Like that here, we can have the multiple field dependencies between, sorry, we can have multiple field dependencies inside a single object. Inside a single object, we can have the multiple field dependencies also, but always field dependency should be applicable between the two fields at a time, not multiple. Okay. Now, in this case here, what happened? Depends upon that parent field value, the corresponding child field will be populating that associated values over here. In this case, whenever we are making one field to be get dependent on another field, then it is called as field dependency. So now in this case, whatever the parent field is available, this parent field is called as the controlling field. Parent field is called as the controlling field, and the child field is called as dependent field. The child field is called as dependent field. We have the controlling field and we have the dependent field. Now here in this case, okay, now here in this case. So now controlling field should be a pick list. Dependent field is a pick list. Now, in this case, depends upon the value which we have selected in the controlling field, the associated values will be populating inside the dependent field for you here. So now here in this case, how can we map the field dependency between the two fields inside an object? Now let's see practically. So before that, first of all, I want to create the two fields, which is with the name country, and the second one is some Telangana. Sorry, this is a state name field. So two pick list field I want to create, and I would like to populate some country names, and I would like to populate some state names. From there, how can we map the field dependency? Let's see practically now. Okay. Now, the concept of field dependency is, in order to make a field to be get dependent on another field, we have to use field dependency. So now, from this field dependency, one field should be acting as a parent, second field is acting as a child. Depends upon the value which we have selected in the parent field, the child field will be populating the associated value. In this case, the parent field is called as the controlling field and the child field is called as the dependent field. So at a time, we can map the field dependency between the two fields only, not between multiple fields. So that if there is multiple fields are there inside the object between which you want to map the dependency, then we can create multiple field dependencies inside a single object also. That flexibility is available to you. And we'll see what are the limitations are also there inside this field dependency. We'll see practically over here. Now, let me create a country field which is of type pick list with some values, and create a state field which is of type pick list with some state names. And then we'll map the field dependency. How to do that? What are the limitations? We'll see practically now. Now, let's go to your Salesforce instance. I'm going to the account object. I'm going to the account object. Inside this object, I'm creating this field. I'm creating these two fields. Go to the view fields, click on new button that everybody is aware of that how to create the fields. So now I'm selecting the field type as pick list. Click on next. Specify the field label as country name field, where I'm populating some set of values. I'm entering the value like some India, USA, UK, Australia, Middle East, like that. Some country names I have populated. So these are the country names I have populated inside this. Now I'm selecting some checkbox, display the values alphabetically. Nothing but don't display these country names in the same order which I have entered. Arrange these country names in the alphabetical order and display those values. So select the checkbox, display values alphabetically and not in the order entered. And then click on next button. Make it visible to all the profile users by selecting the visible checkbox. And go to the next. Make it save and new because I'm going to be creating one more field. Click on save and new. Select the second pick list field. Go to the next. Specify the field label as the state name field. I'm entering some state values. Related to India, I'm entering some state values like some Telangana, Karnataka, some Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and then some Kerala, like that. Some states related to India. Related to US, I'm populating some state names. Like I'm specifying some Illinois and Texas, and then Dallas and some New York, like that some state names. Related to UK, some state names I'm populating over here. like as Scotland, London. So these are the two. Related to Australia, I'm populating some states like Sydney and the Melbourne. These are the two. Related to some Middle East, I'm entering some states like as Dubai, Qatar, Oman, Riyadh, like that. Some state names I'm populating over here. Now these are the state names which I'm populating inside this particular states pick list. I want to populate all these state names in the sorting order so that I'm selecting the checkbox display values alphabetically and not in the order entered. Now go to the next. Make it visible to all the profile users by selecting the visible checkbox and click on next. Make it save. So now both the fields has been created. When you come down, here you will be having that fields. Like the country name field which I have created, which is after pick list, and then state name field which we have created. This is the pick list. Both the fields are available. Now let's go to the records inside that account object. Go to the accounts, click on new button to create a new account record. So both the fields has been populated here. The country name, all the country names has been populated in the sorting order. State name field, all the state names has been populated in the sorting order over here. Now I'm creating an account record like as some Suresh Kumar. He is one of our customer. Account number, some value have entered. And the account site. So he is a salesperson. Type of the account, prospect. Industry, he is associated with the banking. Annual revenue, some 20 lakhs. Rating value, some heart. Phone number, some value. Fax number, some value. Website, some gmail.com. Ownership, he is working in a private organization. Billing address, Srinagar Colony. From Srinivasa Colony, Amirpet. And then the billing city is some Hyderabad. And the billing state is some Telangana. Postal code 500038. Country is some India. Account I'm making it as active. Active status equals to yes. Now here in this case, I'm selecting the country value. Country I'm selecting India. State I'm selecting like as some Melbourne. Now tell me, will my record save or not? If I click on save button, will my record will get saved or not? It will save automatically because here it is going to be selecting some value. That's it. It won't bother about what value you have selected. Okay, it won't bother about what value you have selected. But actually, the country India is not having any state with the name Melbourne. Melbourne is not associated with country, but there is a chance to select the wrong values as well. I'm selecting some Oman, but Oman is a state which is not associated with country India. This is associated with some different country. But there is a chance to select the wrong information also. But I don't want to give this chance to the user to select this wrong information. In this case, I don't want to populate all the state names inside this state pick list. I want to populate only those states which are associated with the country India. For example, I'm selecting the country as a Middle East. At that time, it should populate only those states which are associated with the country Middle East. So that here, instead of populating all the state names associated with all the countries, I want to populate only those states which are associated with the selected country. In this case, I would like to map the field dependency. So now in this case, when I click on save button, the record will get saved automatically. When you click on save, record has been accepted. But the information which you have entered inside this one, this is not a correct information, which is a wrong information, which is a invalid information. So which is a inconsistent information. So that here I don't want to accept this kind of wrong values. I don't want to give the chance to the user to select the wrong information upon creating the records, which may cause some ambiguity, which may cause some confusions in the future. For that, here always he has to select that right information. Even though the user is trying to be selecting some wrong information, my application has to prevent that. My application has to enforce the user to select or to enter only the right information always. So in this case, how can we make this field dependent on another field? Now let's see practically here. In order to map the field dependency, go to the force.com quick access menu. Go to the force.com quick access menu. Click on view fields. Click on view fields. Go to the fields user interface. Go to the custom fields and the relationships section. Go to the custom fields and relationships section. Here we have a button called as field dependencies. Okay, we have the button called as field dependencies. Now we are going to be using this field in order to make one field to be dependent on another field. So that click on this field dependencies. As soon as when you click on this field dependencies, it is providing a user interface to create the field dependencies. That already we have discussed that not only one field dependency, we can have the multiple field dependencies inside a single object. Why? Because is between the two fields only we can map the field dependency at a time, not between multiple fields. Now, in this case, click on field dependencies. Now, here you will be having that section, field dependencies section, and click on new button to create a new field dependency. So now here it is asking you to select the controlling field and the dependent field. So now select the controlling field, select the dependent field here. Now let's see practically. So now controlling field, I'm selecting like as here. Now observe this one here. So there is a limitation here. Observe this one. Now I'm taking up a screenshot. First now I have expanded that controlling field. I'm taking up the screenshot. I'm taking up the screenshot over here. So now this is the screenshot. Just I'm copying that particular part over here. This is a controlling field. So this is the controlling field information. Whenever I'm selecting that controlling field, okay, expanding that current controlling field, it is populating all these fields information. Now observe this one here. What values has been populated? So now it is populating that values, both standard fields as well as the custom fields also. Nothing but what we have observed. When coming to the controlling field can be either a standard field or it may be a custom field. Now, let's go to that next requirement. Dependent field. I'm expanding the dependent field. I'm taking up the screenshot. So now this is the dependent field. Now observe what is the differences that you have observed. Dependent field should be of what? So now these are the pick list fields are there. Active is a pick list field. Country name is a pick list field. Customer priority pick list. SLA pick list. State name pick list. Upsell opportunity pick list. Now these are available where inside the custom fields list. Nothing but what we have observed. Controlling field can be either a standard field or a custom field. But dependent field should be always a custom field. Okay, this is the limitation. Nothing but we cannot make a standard field as the dependent field inside the field dependency. Standard field should be always on top, nothing but that should be controlling. But standard field cannot be a dependent field, that should be always controlling field. That should not be a dependent field. This is the limitation. These points are very, very important in the entry point of view. Next, one more observation we'll see. So before that, so now in this case, so I'm going to be creating one more field inside this. I'm creating a checkbox field. Let's see what will happen in this case. I'm creating a checkbox. Selecting the checkbox type. Go to the next. I'm creating the field with the name offer discount, which is a checkbox type. Go to the next. Make it visible to all the profile users. Click on save. I have created one checkbox field. Go to the user interface. Click on new. See that field. This is a offer discount is a checkbox field. We can select this or we can unselect this one. Now let's go to the field dependency. Observe the difference. Now go to the fields. Go to the custom fields and relationships section. Click on field dependencies. Click on new. Select that option. Controlling field. Observe this one. What fields are available? Account standard fields and custom fields. In standard fields, account source. This is a pick list. Industry, pick list. Owner, pick list. Rating, pick list. Type, pick list. Active status, pick list. Country name, pick list. Customer priority, pick list. Offer discount, nothing but checkbox. Where it is available inside the controlling field. Now what we have observed, controlling field can be either a pick list type or it may be a checkbox. SLA is a pick list, state name, pick list, and the upsell opportunity, pick list. When you go to the dependent field, what we have, active, pick list, country name, pick list, customer priority, pick list, SLA, pick list, state name, pick list, upsell opportunity, pick list. Nothing but the checkbox is not available, even though it is a custom field. Nothing but what we have observed, whenever we are mapping the field dependency, we have two limitations. The first limitation is controlling field can be either a standard field or a custom field. But the control dependent field should be always a custom field. Nothing but standard field cannot be a dependent field in field dependency. This is the first limitation. The second limitation is controlling field can be of either type pick list or checkbox. Okay, controlling field can be of type either pick list or checkbox. But dependent field should be always a pick list. Okay, dependent field should be always a pick list. Nothing but what we have observed, we are able to make the field dependency between the pick list and the checkboxes only, not between the other fields in the other field types inside that Salesforce instance. Okay, so this is the limitation here. Now let's continue with our functionality. How to map the field dependency. Now let's see practically. Now click on that controlling field. Select the controlling field over here. The controlling field is our country field, so that I'm selecting country name. Dependent field should be the state name. I'm selecting the controlling field. I'm selecting the dependent field. Now click on continue. Now it is providing the matrix format. In that matrix format, we have to select which states has to be get populated upon selecting a specific country. Now when you come down, here it is providing the matrix format. Here we have to select that. Here we have to select. So here the country names has been populated. Australia, India, Middle East, UK, USA. So now all the state names are available over here. Okay, all the state names are available here. So now in this case, okay, now here in this case, upon selecting the country as Australia, what state that you want to populate? So that select those states by holding the control key. And then we have to repeat the same step for the India and the Middle East, for the UK, for USA. In this case, what are the values that I have selected for the Australia? Then once I have selected, then I have to go to the India to select the associated states. Now in this case, in between these two, in order to save those values temporarily for some time, we are going to be using include values button. For example, I'm going to the Australia here. For this Australia, I would like to populate some states like as Melbourne and the Sydney. So now select these two by holding the control key. Now when I go to that India to select that Andhra Pradesh and all these things, then it is going to be deselecting the previous one. But I want to save these values for some time. Then how can we do this? For this one, we can use a button called as include values button. Now select the country, Australia, and then states are Melbourne and in the Sydney, click on include values button. These two will be saving for temporarily for some time. Now India, I'm selecting Andhra Pradesh, some Karnataka and Kerala, Maharashtra, and the Telangana. So now these are the states which I would like to populate. Now click on include values. Middle East. For the Middle East, I'm selecting Dubai, Oman, Qatar, and the Riyadh. 4. Include values. UK. For UK, I'm selecting the values London and the Scotland. Click on include values. USA. For USA, I'm selecting Dallas, Illinois, New York, and the Texas. So these are the values which I'm selecting right now over here. Click on include values. So now once you have selected the associated state for each and every country, then click on save button. That's it, done. Click on save. Now the field dependency has been created successfully for you. Let's go to your account object. Refresh this user interface. Observe what will happen in this case. Now let's see. When you observe these two fields, okay, when you observe this country and the state fields, now the state name field has been disabled. So we are unable to select anything. Why? Because this is dependent on country. Depends upon the country name which you have selected, the associated state values will be populated over here. So that's what beside that pick list, it is providing a small icon, information symbol, which is giving that this is depends on country name field. So that select the country name field value, then it will be expanding over here. Now let's see. Select the country as some India. If I'm selecting India, it is populating that state. Now the field is enabled. It is populating only those states: Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Telangana. I'm selecting the state as some country as Australia. It is populating that Melbourne and the Sydney. I'm selecting the country as a Middle East. It is populating Dubai, Oman, Qatar, and the Riyadh. I'm selecting the country as some UK. It is populating London and the Scotland. I'm selecting the country as USA. It is populating the Dallas, Illinois, New York, and the Texas. Nothing but what happened, there is no chance to select the wrong information. Depends upon the country which you have selected, the associated states will be getting populated to you, so that the user can't select the wrong country and the wrong state name. So this is how we can prevent the user to enter the wrong information by making one pick list field to be get dependent on another pick list. So this is the concept of field dependency. By using this field dependency, we can able to make one field to be get dependent on another field. Okay, this is the way we can do that here. Now, the next feature. The next feature. Field history tracking. What exactly is a field history tracking over here? What is the use? For example, we have created some set of fields. Okay, we have created some set of fields. Nothing but we have created some columns inside the table. And then after creating that fields, we have created some records inside my object. I have created some record. So yesterday I have created some record. But today morning, when I observe that record, when I open the record, some of the field values has been modified. Because some of the field values has been modified. So which are very, very important field. Which are very, very important. But I don't know who did the modifications. In this case, how can we make a tracker? How can we enable a tracker which will keep on tracking the information? If anybody did the modification in my record, it has to track which person modified this record, when they have modified, on what date, on what time, which field values they have modified. What is the old value of the field? What is the new value of the field? I would like to track. Then in this case, how can we track this information? Then you can raise a question. We are having that last modified by field is there in every record. With that we can able to track. Then what we can track? Which a person has modified, on what date, on what time. We can see that. But that will be the recently modified person details. If suppose, for example, 3 people has modified my record, but the recently modified people information we can see inside that the last modified by field. But who are all the remaining 2 people who did the modification on my record? We can't track. And that too, we don't know which field values they have modified. Which field value they have modified, what is the old value of the field, what is the new value of the field, we can't track. There is no such options. Okay, there is no such options. In this case, Salesforce is providing a feature to you, that is field history tracking. Simply generally when you go to some other programming, this is called as the audit tracking. It is called as audit tracking fields. So in this case, if any of the person has modified your record, then we can able to track that information, that who did the modification of your record. Okay, who did the modification of your record, what field values they have modified, when they have modified, on what date, on what time, who is that person, what is the old value of the field, what is the new value of the field. Everything we can able to track. The flexibility is available to you. So now here in this case, we can able to track the field's information with the help of field history tracking. Then how to enable the field history tracking over here? Now let's see practically. So now as a prerequisite thing, whenever if you want to track the field history, then in the object level, okay, in the object level, track a field history checkbox has to be get selected. That already told you upon creating the field, upon creating the object, I told you 4 checkboxes are there in the optional section, like as allow reports, allow activities, track field history, allow in charter groups. 4 checkboxes we have discussed. From that 4 checkboxes, there is a checkbox is there, track field history. If the track field history checkbox is selected in the object level, then only we can able to enable this field history tracking inside that object. If the checkbox is not selected, then we can't enable this. So there is a dependency. Now let's see. Go to my position object here, for example. So in my position object, I would like to track the field history here. So where we can enable this one? Let's go to that object level, go to the view object. Inside this, you will be having the checkbox, like as track field history checkbox. This is the checkbox is there. This checkbox is available. That's what we can able to enable the field history tracking inside your object position object fields. Then how do you know? How can we enable that feature? For that here, when you observe this one, in the custom fields and relationships section, along with the new and the field dependencies button, we have a button called as set history tracking. There is a button called as set history tracking. Okay, this option is available to you. For example, in the object level, if this track field history checkbox is not selected, then what will happen? Let me show you practically now. Now click on edit a button now. I'm going to the object level. I'm unselecting that checkbox. I'm unselecting this track field history checkbox over here. This checkbox I'm unselecting right now. Now unselect the checkbox. Now make it save. Now let's go to that fields information. See, here inside that fields, custom fields and relationships section, we have new button, field dependencies. Set a history tracking button is not available. Nothing but set a history tracking button is not visible. That means what? In the object level, track field history checkbox is not selected. So for that one, first of all, we have to enable in the object level, then only we can track the field history information inside this object over here. So now this is the functionality. So that if the button is not visible, the problem is in the object level, this checkbox is not selected. So that select this checkbox first. Click on edit a button in the object level. Select the checkbox, track field history, make it save. Now the button is visible. Click on that set history tracking button. As soon as when you click on set history tracking button, it will ask you to select what fields information you would like to track. Because inside my object, you may be having some hundreds of fields also. But all the fields information is not important for me. But there are some fields are there which are playing very major role, which are playing very key role inside my application functionality. Suppose for example, assume that I'm having a loan table. Okay, I'm having a loan table. In my loans table, I'm storing all the customers' details who has been applied for the loan. Who has been applied for the loan. Then which fields are important? Like inside my loans table, I'm having some fields over here. In my loans table, I'm having some fields. Like as the loan number, nothing but the ID of that person. And the customer name. And then what type of loan. And then how much amount he would like to take it as a loan. And what is that loan approval status. So these are some columns are there inside my object. Now tell me from this one which fields are important. Status is very, very important because the loan application status field is indicating that. So now whether this loan has been approved or rejected or submitted or what, it will be indicating that. Along with that, the amount, how much amount they are expecting to take it as a loan. So these two fields are important here, but the remaining fields are not that much of important for me. But these two fields are playing very major role. So now here in this case over here, how can we track these fields? So now in this case, by using field history tracking, we can track the history of maximum of 20 fields per an object, not more than that. Per an object, we can able to track maximum of 20 fields over here, not more than that. This is the limitation given by the Salesforce. So in this case, whatever the fields are available inside your object, you may be having some hundreds of fields. All the fields history we can't track. Only maximum of 20 fields history we can track, which are very, very important, which are playing very key role inside your application functionalities. So now here in this case, how can we enable the field history tracking? Now let's see practically. So now let's click on the set history tracking button. Select the fields. Which fields information you would like to track. Inside my position object, I'm having some most important fields are there. Location field and the position status field and the number of positions, maximum budget, close date. So these are the 5 fields which are very, very important for me, so that I would like to track these fields information. If the user has modified any of this field value, automatically it will be tracking internally over here. Okay, it is tracking internally by default. So now the close date field I have selected, maximum budget, how much package that we are offering, maximum for this position, how many number of vacancies are available, what is the location of the position, and the position status. These are the 5 fields I would like to track. Now click on save button. So now in this case, how do you know what fields are on track? When you go to that columns, inside the nothing but the fields, it is providing a table. Inside this table, there is a field called, there is a column called as track history, which is indicating which field history, if which field information is on track, and which fields you have enabled the history tracking. So now close date field, history tracking enabled, and the location field, history tracking enabled, and the maximum budget, history tracking enabled, and the number of position, history tracking enabled. Nothing but in this column we can see what field history we are tracking inside this object. That flexibility is available. Suppose in future, if your customer says please enable the field history tracking on location field, so at that time no need to do anything because this is already enabled, so that here we can track this one. We can cross check that what field history is already on track, so that we can cross check this information over here. Now once it is available here, from now onwards, whenever I am modifying any one of this field value inside that existing record, Salesforce will be tracking that. Then where we can see that information over here. So now where we can see, for example, I'm opening some records. .NET technical lead. For this one, I have changed that maximum budget field value. Now it already is having 22 lakhs. I'm modifying it as 30 lakhs. Now one field value I have modified. Now when you click on save, the record has been saved successfully. Then where is that information? Where we can see the tracking information here. In this case, in order to see the history tracking details, Salesforce is providing a separate related list. For each and every object, Salesforce is providing a separate related list, which is used to display. Related list means what? A child object information, which is used to show all the tracking information which has been enabled on that object fields. So in this case, Salesforce is providing a separate related list for each and every object. So now, here the objects are like some account, contact, opportunity, some position, some customer, some case, some lead. Like that, so many objects are there. For each and every object, Salesforce is providing a related list to you here. That related list, we have to add it onto your layout. We have to add that related list onto the layout. Like we are having that related list called as account history. And for the contact object, we have the contact history. For the opportunity history. For the position history. For the customer history. For the case history. For the lead history. Nothing but for each and every object, Salesforce is providing a separate related list to you. Like as for the account object, account history, for the contact history, for the position history, like that. For every object, Salesforce is providing a separate related list to you. So which we need to place onto your layout by using page layout customization. Nothing but upon doing that field history tracking, we have two steps. First step is we have to select what fields information you would like to track in the first step. In the second step, we have to add the associated related list onto your layout. So in this case over here. So now it is providing a separate history related list for each and every object. So that here we have to customize that page layout and we have to add the associated related list onto your layout over here. Now this object is position. So now for the position, what is a related list? Position history related list. So then how can we enable this? Now let's go to that view object, like as your yesterday's concept, page layout customization. So now here inside that, go to the page layout. Okay, the page layout. Click on edit button. Inside this, you will be having in the left panel, we have related list. Okay, we have related list option. Click on that. It is providing the related list to you with the name position history. This is the related list. Now this related history related list will be available inside this section whenever the history tracking has been enabled. If the history tracking is not enabled, then this related list will not be visible to you inside this list. Okay, this is the dependent one. Now just you can add it onto your layout just by using drag and drop. I'm adding over here. The position history I'm adding over here. There is the position history. Now click on save button. That's it. Done. Let's go to your record. Refresh the user interface. Now it is indicating that on so and so date 11/29 we have created the record. On 12/4, nothing but today, we have modified the record, changed the value from, that is the maximum budget field value from 22 lakhs to 30 lakhs we have modified. Now let me modify some more fields information over here. I'm changing some of the field values. Like I'm changing the position status from in progress to recruited. Location is from Bangalore to some Hyderabad. Number of positions from 1 to 3. Close dates from 12/15 to 12/22. I have modified these four values. Position status I have modified, location, number of positions, close date. These are the four fields I have modified. Now click on save button. Whenever if anybody has modified that information, then it will be indicating that. So now on so and so did nothing but 12/4 at 4:47 p.m. So now the person, nothing but the training batch user has modified this record. So where the values has been modified, like he has changed that close date value from 12/15 to the 12/22, number of position fields from 1 to 3, position status from in progress to recruited, location value from Bangalore to Hyderabad. These are the four field values they have modified. Now in this case, how frequent data we can track here? We can able to track the last 18 months data. Okay, we can track the last 18 months data inside this field history tracking. That flexibility is available. Nothing but in the last 18 months, how many people has modified my record, what values they have modified my record, everything we can able to track with the help of field history tracking. So this is how we can able to enable the field history tracking inside your object. Now, if it is a standard object here, let me show you that option. For example, if it is a standard object, how can we enable this? Go to the accounts, click on view fields. Here, that a set history tracking button will be enabled, that will be available on top, okay, on top of this user interface. Here that is available. Generally, set history tracking button is available inside the section called as the custom fields and the relationships section. But for the standard object, it is placing that button on top over here. So that just to click on set history tracking button, select the checkbox enable account history. Select the checkbox enable account history. Then we can select that fields. What fields information you would like to track. And once you have selected the fields, then as a second step, we have to add that account history related list onto your layout. That's it, the two steps. The same process is available for every object over here. Okay. So this is the way we are going to be enabling the field history tracking on our objects. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss about enabling the charter feed and then how to customize the related list available on your object, and then we will move forward to the new feature relationships. Okay.
There's one question.
Yeah.
You were telling like by using include option,
Okay.
we make it is like it is temporary now.
Yeah.
How I will make like permanent?
Permanent we can't make it here because so now whenever if you want to save that value, it's nothing but when you click on save button after selecting the states for each and every country, then only you can able to make it save. Permanently that will be saving that when you click on save button. Include values is
Okay.
for what? Not only for that country, I'm having some more countries are there for which we need to select the state values. So that here for the temporary purpose, I'm saving this one. Once you click on save button, then automatically it will be saving permanently for you.
But the another option is there. Exclude option also is there. What is the use of that
Exclude in the
exclude
sense,
option?
for example, assume that I have selected for India, I have selected some values. I have selected some four state names. From that one state I have selected wrongly. Okay, one wrong state I have selected.
Okay.
For that we can select, we can click on that state name, we can click on exclude values, then automatically it will be excluding from that selected options over here. For that we are using that exclude
Okay.
values.
Thank you, Fidos.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.